What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
My name is...
What? My name is... Who? My name is... Chicka Chicka. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. We are back. The midweek holiday is over that flustered all of our schedules, and Dylan and I are ready to talk about Andor, which I'm sure you all got your Andor fix from your Andor podcast of choice. But hey, there's no such thing as too much Andor. So we're going to talk about the Andor finale. We're going to finally, 7 months in the making, talk about The Card Counter, awesome movie on HBO Max, and Dylan and I have been talking about it since April, but we finally sat down and watched it, and then we're also going to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special for all of our Marvel nerds out there. Phase 4 complete. And then we'll get into everybody's favorite segment, the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes. But before we get started, make sure you're following us on the social, StreamerSZN, Twitter, Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter, at Dylan Mazzola. We are 26 followers on our Twitter away from Dylan putting the Twitter in his bio. Thankfully, Twitter's still alive, so follow us, and Dylan will finally put us in the bio.
I was worried about that.
I was very nervous last week.
I was like, well, there goes the bit. There goes the bit and me actually advertising.
And then you can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And Dylan, say the line.
Say the thing. No, the line is obviously what I say every week if you're a long-time listener, or if you're a first-time listener, get ready to hear it for the first time. Amongst the many platforms that our podcast is on, and we want you to leave reviews, obviously 5-star it, because we have standards, as Kyle used to always say, or still does say. And in those reviews, you want to leave, nice words, but you also want to let us know, like, what movies and shows across the platforms you want us to review next. We're kind of in a lull. I've said that a couple times now. Like, we don't have, a couple months ago, we had, like, 4 shows, it felt like. We don't have that right now, so we have the ability to take on what you want us to possibly watch.
We do have a movie every single week lined up, but the Christmas spirit is getting into everybody's bones. So there's a Christmas movie, old or new, that you want us to watch.
Maybe we'll have to rank Christmas movies before Christmas happens.
I like that. Let us know your favorite Christmas movie in your podcast review, or do it in the YouTube comments section, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of StreamerSZN and every podcast on our network. Make sure you subscribe. We're at 315 subscribers right now. And once we get to 1,000, Dylan's going to cosplay, which that might have... On the pace we're on right now, because you people need to subscribe, Dylan, you might be able to cosplay in time for New York Comic Con this summer. Because Dylan and I are making big plans to go to New York Comic Con. So that is in the works, and Dylan's going to cosplay as a character from a movie or show that we have watched in 2022, or whatever year it is that we finally get to 1,000. And then
sooner than later.
And then, by the time we get there, I might look like King Viserys, and I'll be watching season 1 of Game of Thrones for the very first time.
He developed like leprosy, dude. You don't want that.
I'm gonna come in like with my half mask on, just walking up to my couch to watch season 1.
By that time, we'll have like season 2 of House of Dragons.
Maybe I wonder what's going to happen first. We get to 1,000 subscribers, or George R.R. Martin finishes writing the book.
I don't think he'll ever finish it. He's old, dude.
Comment down below on YouTube which one do you think is going to happen first. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, subscribe, smash that like button, and ring the bell icon as well so you don't miss out on any of the videos.
Yes. Oh, I want to say one thing before we get going with our Andor finale review. Last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, I worded something very poorly, and my girlfriend listened to our episode. Shout out to her, Megan. But I didn't say girlfriend. I said, like, girl I'm talking to, or whatever it was, and let me...
You got.
A, apologize. I got. And B, if you're a guy listening, don't make the same mistake I did.
All I have to say to that is, Megan. Oh, man. But let's get into the Andor finale. It's brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer. It's Dylan's beverage of choice when he's traveling through the galaxy to fight the Empire, those bastards that they are. Go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use that all-new and improved Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. Check out their merch shop as well. They've got new Kenny sweatshirts and hoodies that look absolutely incredible. And I tell everybody this, the Kenwood merch flies off the shelves quicker than, like, any of the Hypebeast brands. You got to get it while you can, so go check it out. KenwoodBeer.com. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. Dylan, the Andor finale that happened last week, petition to Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, don't let shows have a finale the day before a major holiday challenge.
Yeah. It messed us all up.
It done goofed us up. This episode called Rick's Road. It is the 12th and final episode of Season 1 for Andor, directed by Benjamin Caron and written by the one and only Tony Gilroy. The episode opens up with Wilman Pock working on a machine at his late father, Salmon Pock's Repock Salyard. Say that 10 times fast.
I will not.
Elsewhere, ISB supervisor Deidre Miro lands at Ferrex's spaceport in a Lambda-class shuttle with 2 Death Troopers. Stormtroopers guard the spaceport, and Colleen Salyard. Meanwhile, Bix Kayleen waits anxiously inside her cell. Miro is greeted by Captain Vanis Tygo, who says dinner is ready. Supper time. Miro instead decides to walk the streets with Corv as her escort, and Wilmon continues working on a machine. Meanwhile, one of Brasso's colleagues informs him that Cassian Jaren Andor, full Govey right there, has returned to Ferrex to attend his mother Marva Andor's funeral. Brasso tells him to keep this news secret and find steam to no one. As disguised Miro and Corv walk through the streets of Ferrex while Wilmon assembles a machine. I just keep thinking of Stewie. What do you know about the machine? He looks to a hologram of his late father, Salmon. Elsewhere, Nurchi speaks to Zanwan about the impact of Marva's death on Andor, and the two agree not to discuss their conversation with anyone else. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Mon Mothma confronts her husband, Perrin Firtha, about his gambling and their airspeeder. My man needs to call 1-800-GAMBLER so quick.
Dude, he needs to do that. I also keep forgetting that she's Mon Mothma, because what you see later in Star Wars, she's nothing like the character she is now, because she's kind of like a background character in the movies. This is kind of how it happens. So, like, seeing all this, like, set up for her to eventually be what she is in the old trilogy, I'm like, who are you?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
I keep forgetting.
Mothma tells the driver Cloris to give them privacy, and Mothma tells Perrin to take his gambling off-world to Canto Bight. Perrin gets angry and denies he has a gambling problem. Buddy, 1-800-GAMBLER. It's not that hard. I mean, look at all the homies. Like, we're going to talk about later. Kevin Bacon has fantastic cell service in outer space. The Hulk and She-Hulk had fantastic service in outer space. Why does the galaxy far, far away have, like, the worst cell service of all time? My man's got T-Mobile or something.
I have a theory about this. Um, I think the husband may low key be involved. Like he may know what his wife is doing, because I think the episode before where someone asked like, does he know, and she kind of said no, but she didn't like deliberately say like no. She's like, I think. So maybe like they had a conversation and he agrees with it, because like the husband's kind of out of the picture completely. Like the wife and like my Mothma and her husband, I don't say hate each other, but I wouldn't. They're not like the happiest married couple, obviously. And then the daughter is another factor into it. But point is, like, she knew, and he probably knows that the driver is a spy, which you later see him reporting his findings. He was eavesdropping. So what better way to like throw him off the trail if you just like act out like a more eccentric, you know what I mean? Like purposely bring up, oh, you're gambling, you suck, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Because then the driver is just like, oh, these people are the worst. Like, you know what I mean?
My man is gambling on Ferrick's Dual Sportsbook.
I think I think most likely it's not that, and it is what it is. But I wouldn't be completely shocked if it was kind of a deliberate ruse to kind of throw the Empire a little off their trail and make them just seem like maybe in a strange marriage, like maybe one's gambling, maybe one's cheating, but there's no funding or rebellion going on. It's just a, you know what I mean, a typical like government-esque.
My man is probably on Death Star King Sportsbook, and there's a droid of Jared Carabas when the music plays, like dan 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 dan. Taking Darth Vader's parlays.
How many janitors is he gonna murder this week on the Death Star?
It's the General Grievous super boost. Perrin thinks that people are trying to get Mothma down by coming after him, and Perrin hints that whoever is behind revelations of his gambling activities is aware of her covert activities. He asks where he would get the money, and Mothma responds that that concerns her the most. And Perrin says someone is lying to her, which Mothma agrees. Cloris listens intently to their conversation. And then back on Ferrix, Vel Sartha meets Cinta Kaz, and Cinta tells Vel that they are being watched by an ISB operative, and that Miro has arrived. Cinta thinks that they are getting ready to trap Andor, and Vel is aware of the situation and says they need to get there first. Vel tells Cinta to come away from the window, and Andor roams the streets of Ferrix and touches an inscription. He reflects upon his late adoptive father, Clem Andor's words, quote, that man who sees everything is more blessed than cursed. How many people you think are going to get that tattooed on their body this summer? Comment down below on YouTube.
More than one.
Yes. Andor experiences a flashback of his father teaching him how to wash and recycle used machines as a means of saving money. Andor climbs into Bix's scrapyard and is confronted by a pair of canine creatures. Those things were terrifying.
They've been terrifying every time we've seen them.
He is discovered by the custodian, who turns out to be his old friend Pegla, and Pegla reveals that Bix was captured by the Empire. While Bix waits in her cell, Andor reflects on the late Karis Nemec's manifesto about freedom being a source of strength when the struggle seems impossible.
That was a cool scene, him just sitting there listening to that character's work.
And then Nemec talks about countless cells engaging in acts of resistance across the galaxy without realizing that they have enlisted in the cause. He talks about diverse rebel cells being part of galactic struggle. The Imperial need for control is unnatural since tyranny requires constant effort, and authority is brittle, and oppression is the mask of fear. He talks about the small skirmishes and battles swelling into a bigger tide that will overwhelm the Galactic Empire. One single thing will break the siege. Meanwhile, Tygo informs Miro that the Imperial forces have pulled back their air traffic and uniform patrols and relaxed curfew. Tygo says that the trap is ready. It's a trap.
Classic.
When Miro asks when is the funeral, Tygo says that the Empire has delayed the funeral for 2 hours after lunch. After negotiations with the daughters of Ferrix, they assigned half of Rick's Road for the funeral and allowed a maximum of 40 people to attend. Another Imperial officer explains to Miro that the daughters of Ferrix are a social club and that Marva served as a president. Keysax dismisses them as a nonsense. and says that they will have snipers and local containment units stationed nearby. Miro rules out the use of snipers since she wants Andor to be taken alive, and Vel walks past an Imperial speeder manned by an Imperial Army trooper carrying 2 Stormtrooper snipers. He keeps those motherfucking things on him. Technical difficulties, but you guys won't know that. So, yeah, Imperial Army troopers apparently keep them motherfucking things on them. They stay strapped with Stormtrooper snipers. And elsewhere, ISB officers Blevin and Cloris discuss an audio recording of Mothma and Perrin's conversation about the latter's gambling problems. I guess he left a voicemail to 1-800-GAMBLER. Blevin thinks that they can exploit Perrin's gambling problems as a leverage against Mothma, while Cloris thinks that Perrin has gambled before. And Blevin also discusses Mothma's recent financial transactions. Lagret informs his comrade, that they are missing news of the successful operation against Anto Krieger. Blevin leaves to join the briefing, but Cloris stays behind. Major Partagaz proudly announces to the assembled ISB officers that Krieger's entire team was killed and that they can close the case. The sole dissenter is Miro, who speaks via comlinks since she is off-world. Partagaz justifies the decision to take no prisoners by saying that the elimination of Krieger's cell was intended to please the Emperor following the Aldhani heist. When Miro says that they need prisoners for intelligence gathering purposes, Partagaz tells her to capture the elusive Axis. And elsewhere, Luthen exists in his Fondor Hallcraft and rides a speeder bike on the rocky surface of Ferrix. Meanwhile, Korv realizes that the man whom he has been following is not Andor, and Pegla arranges for Andor to meet with Brasso in an underground tunnel. Andor regrets leaving Bix, and Brasso passes a message from Marva, and Marva says that Andor is not at fault and describes him as the first spark in the fire. Marva also describes Andor as an unstoppable force for good, and Brasso tells Andor that Marva loves him despite his faults. And elsewhere, Pegla keeps watch for Andor. He tells Andor that the street is clear, while Brasso tells Andor that Bix is being held in the hotel. He thinks the Empire is keeping her alive for a reason, so Andor is determined to rescue her. Brasso says that he will take care of the funeral while Andor rescues Bix, and meanwhile, disguised Cyril Karn and Linus Mosk travel on hoverbus towards the Ferrix Business Center. And then we get Marva's funeral and speech, which I think was one of the most powerful and badass speeches in Star Wars history.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones in what we've covered. I mean, in terms of a show or a podcast, like, she literally radicalized, in a good way, the people of that town to rebel and look at the Empire in a different light posthumously. Like, she's literally dead given this pre-recorded hologram, and it was cool. At one point, though, like, as she was getting more aggressive, I was like, in my head, I'm like, yo, Empire guys, are you not like, you're not reading?
Yo, they bitch made.
Not reading the room. You might want to turn it off a little, like, 5 minutes before.
Yeah, as I was watching that, I was like, wow, this is gonna go down, I think, as one of the most, like, powerful speeches a Star Wars character's ever given in any Star Wars project, which is pretty, I think cool. Cool is a very minor way to explain it, but, like, it's like, for how deep and his, like, storied Star Wars is, for that to happen in a new project in 2022 is pretty badass.
For a show that many people had low and mid expectations on or towards, myself included, I didn't really know much about it. And for us to be sitting here saying at the finale episode, like, we have one of the best speeches in Star Wars is an achievement in itself.
And then we get the Uprising, which I think was some of the best action we've gotten.
Yeah, it was very actiony. I did not have war crimes on my bingo card for this episode, and that's what we got.
Yeah, it was just all time, just pedal to the metal. Homie beating the shit out of one of the dudes from the Empire over the head to start things off, and just, like, war cry, like, then it was just on from there. And, like, I thought that was, again, another amazing Star Wars scene of all time. And I think it's going to go down as that. It didn't have to involve lightsabers. It didn't have to involve ships. It was just kind of hand-to-hand combat, which is another rarity in Star Wars.
Yeah, it was more like what you see possibly, unfortunately, in today's society, like where people riot and stuff. Less spaceships, like a little more realism, I guess, to kind of maybe like on purpose to tie you in as a viewer to like relate to current events or real life events. Very cool, very, very different, but in a good, different kind of way. Very grounded, I guess.
And then we get the whole gang escaping Ferrix to get them off world, and then Cassian goes and
I also didn't mention that the homeboy, the little kid, literally went full IRA and made a boom boom.
Yes. And then we get Cassian at the end, telling Rail that he wants him to kill him. And, I texted Dylan as soon as that finished. I said, that's how they ended season 1. And you told me it was kind of, a blue balls cliffhanger type thing. And it's like, yes and no. Because
we ultimately know the fate of the main
character.
Right.
Right. And it's one of those things where it's like, you already know there's a season 2. You already know Rogue One exists.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you can do all of that and like leave it on that cliffhanger of like, kill me. But he's not going to kill him. So that kind of was like, it's cool if you have no recollection or clue about Rogue One.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sure there's people out there that don't.
It's true. I mean, you still have this...
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I know, like, the premise of it.
Yeah.
But I've never watched it in its entirety. Because the one time I was going to, I think I had just gotten home from coaching. That's how long ago Rogue One came out. And I was zonked on my couch by the time it was over because I could not keep my eyes open.
Well, that's very fair. No, but it does.
Not that it's a bad movie for everybody out there, too. Not that it's a bad movie. It's just your boy was tired.
No, there are movies that are good that people just don't end up seeing because life gets in the way. I have a couple of those, I'm sure. But my point, actually, Rogue One's probably my favorite Star Wars film. But beyond the point,
that's a very popular take now, too.
I'm glad because it was kind of hated. It kind of was like hated or like slept on when it came out. Very mixed bag. Although Andor, though, I will say the show did really well critically, especially the later episodes. You look at IMDb, there's some 9s on there. Some people. What I was trying to say is the ending. I agree. Kyle makes a good point. It's kind of like I'm gonna kill you, and it's like he's already gonna die soon.
Yeah.
But you do wonder what the fuck, pardon my French, is going to transpire.
Yeah.
Because apparently the season 2 is going to end off right before Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what's going to happen? I'm assuming there's going to be a time jump of some sort because Rogue One, without saying anything else, you already know like most of the plot, but Rogue One gives the vibe that Cassian is like very senior, like he's been doing what he's doing now for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there might be like a time jump, like not like anything crazy.
Yeah,
like
I know they showed at the beginning of Rogue One too, like what year it was. I have to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
Because Rogue One is supposed to fill in that gray area in between episode 3 and 4, right?
No, Rogue One takes place right before the very first scene in Star Wars history where you see that little ship being chased by Darth Vader's starship.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
Timeline wise, if you're watching like in a timeline order, it plugs in between 3 and 4.
Like literally, if like 4 starts here, Rogue One ends like right here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's very much like.
Yeah. And then we do get a rare Star Wars post-credit scene. Because I know Star Wars doesn't like to do the post-credit scene stuff, but they did a post-credit scene here. And on Scarif, Imperial construction droids assemble the machinery produced by the Narkina 5 prisoners on the main part of the Death Star as TIE fighters fly over the station. That was a very cool post-credit scene. Even if you know everything that happens in Star Wars, that was a very cool
Doesn't
post-credit
matter
scene.
because it comes. A, Death Star is awesome. B, a lot of history with that, and C, it comes full circle. If you know Rogue One, he ends up destroying it. Well, he doesn't destroy it, but he helps destroy it with his actions. And he helped build it when he was incarcerated. So it's very poetic, actually, almost in a sense. Like it's literally very full circle.
Very cool post-credit scene. Very cool finale as well. I think for a show that you and I went in with very little expectations and very little like knowledge of, like we do with some of the other shows we've watched in the past,
Yeah,
very much blew away the expectations for me.
for sure. I mean, it's better than some of the shows I've watched. It's definitely by far not the worst Star Wars show I've watched either. So I would say I like this more than Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett.
Agreed.
If I'm being honest, it was a quality show.
I agree completely. I think this is in the pantheon of, you know, The Mandalorian and like how different like the Star Wars universe can be. And even though I saw an article that popped up, you know how like Google recommends like articles to you?
Yeah.
It was like there's no Easter eggs in Andor. And I was like, I beg to differ. You showed us kyber crystals, my friend.
This was the fucking Death Star, my guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, you showed us some deep cut Star Wars stuff that, even if it wasn't intentional,
The character from The Force Unleashed, his armor.
Yeah.
Like what?
you did some things. But I think Andor was really, really well done. How do you feel about the 12 episode situation? Because obviously we got the 3 off the bat.
As a whole, I like it because I only feel like there was out of the 12, I only feel like 2 or 3 I kind of had to like power through. And I don't say necessarily the whole thing, just parts of it was like, but as a whole, not 9 or 10, I was able to sit and be very much on the edge of my seat and enjoy it. So I would say if shows can match that, like if you give me 12 episode products and be a Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, etc., and you can explain things thoroughly, not make it too boring, and at least have 9 or 10 of those episodes be like very exciting, or at least well written enough to where I'm not kind of snoozing. I'm all for it, you know, because with 12 episodes, I think it's inevitable unless the creators like do the Lord's work and make it 10 out of 10. You're gonna have an episode or two that's gonna be like filler-ish or slower. It's just that's kind of
because the way I'm looking at it, like we got the first 3 episodes at the beginning of the season all at once, which I liked because they all kind of fit together. I think there were parts in this season, especially when they're on the prison thing, like 2 of the 3 Andy Serkis episodes, those first 2 where we were like, okay, where is this going to lead to? And then we finally got the payoff in that like 3rd part of the trilogy of those. I think those first 2, like if you're going to do 12 episodes, I feel like you could have released those 2 together. Not saying that Disney's going to do this or Star Wars is going to do this in the future, but I would like to see that where like it is 12 episodes, but if they feel like, you know, 2 episodes can kind of be meshed together in a way where they kind of are like brother-sister episodes and go together, release them the same day. Like, put them out at the same time. Because I think that, like, could work, and, like, it also helps with, you know, getting content out there if you have it ready to go, putting it out quicker, and not having, you know, was it 10 weeks full of just one by one by one. But I'm not saying I hated it either, but I feel like you could get away with doing stuff like that with longer seasons. I'm intrigued because this, as of right now, with Andor Season 1 and 2, are going to be the longest Disney Plus entities we've gotten so far until Daredevil Born Again comes out, which is going to be 18 episodes. So I'm intrigued to see how they're going to manage that as well, with a lot of the like longer seasoned projects that Disney Plus is going to be putting out. But overall, I think Andor did a really good job. They stuck the landing, and Season 2 is already filming, which is exciting. So I'm intrigued to see when that's actually going to come out.
Program. Okay.
So I'm pumped, and I think, you know, this was one of the shows too. even more so than like The Mandalorian or like some of the big time like WandaVision, like some of the big time Marvel stuff that we get on Disney Plus, I feel like a lot more people were on social media being like, if you aren't already, watch Andor. Like, it's worth your time. Like, it felt like more than ever, like, this show was the most, like, people trying to get more people to watch it.
Well, because I feel like it appeals to a larger audience. Like, in terms of it doesn't play off like it's not a superhero show. It's not like a typical Star Wars. Like, some of the other Disney products, like She-Hulk, for example, you might not have wanted to watch that. Like, if you don't like the Hawk family in Marvel Comics, or not, you might not enjoy that. You might not enjoy the random cameos of other superheroes. But if you want, for Star Wars, same thing. Like, you might not want to watch Boba Fett because you might not like maybe you don't like Boba Fett at all. Like, you wouldn't care for the show. Well, actually, you would because it was the Book of Mandalorian. But that's another conversation. Kyle and I already had that. Point is, like,
featuring Black Chrysanthemum.
Andor was grounded. It was well directed. The acting was very good for most of it. And it just kind of plays off like an aspiring. It's almost like a biography, but not for like Star Wars in terms of like, we know the rebellion is like a thing, and we know it starts sort of around a certain time, and they don't like the Empire, obviously. But now we're getting like the meat and potatoes to how the how the rebellion started. Like, we're seeing the OG story of Mon Mothma and her weird husband. We're seeing Cassian, who literally is responsible for stealing the Death Star plans. We're seeing his upbringing. We're just the new characters. We reunite with some other ones we've already seen in entities in Star Wars. So I think it's beautiful in that way, because most people have seen Star Wars, and most people either love, like, or like passively hate. And I say passively hate because they'll still watch it if it's on, kind of thing. Like, I feel like there are very few people that see Star Wars and they're like, ew, and turn it off, or haven't seen it. And Andor doesn't give you an overly Star Wars vibe because, like you said earlier, no lightsabers, no super crazy spaceships. Well, there's the one guy spaceship, but that's like 5 minutes. There's no Skywalkers. There's no Jedi. There's no Sith. There's no forcing, lightning, pulling, pushing. There's no
cackling.
Yeah. There's no weird. Actually, I'm surprised now I'm thinking about it. There really actually wasn't many aliens at all in the show.
Yeah, it was really just like, I feel like that one episode with the two fishermen. That was it.
Mostly
That's all
human,
I remember.
Mostly
it was very
human
based.
People on the planet. But point is, so that also helps create a more grounded feel, though. And I know people are probably mad, myself included. It is cool to see a little more like creativity in terms of like the costume department, seeing some wonky aliens. It's Star Wars after all. But at the same time, that gives it the more like grounded, realistic, like. It's ironic we're doing Card Counter, because this would be like if Martin Scorsese was to ever direct a Star Wars show or film. I feel like this would be the most like his work.
Yes,
which
definitely.
is ironic to go together. So that's kind of why I bring that comparison up, because his films are generally relatively Card Counter. I wouldn't say it's easy to watch at a certain point, but his films are easier to watch because they're grounded. They all fit a centric theme. And this deviated from the Star Wars theme, but it tapped into a more like realistic theme, and I like that. And I think you like that, and probably most people who watched it liked it.
100%. So Dylan, looking at our Google sheet here, you have the two Star Wars properties we've watched this year: Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Boba Fett was a 7 out of 10. Obi-Wan was a 7.9 out of 10. And then overall, this year, you have 4 properties that have hit the 9s, which are Peacemaker Season 1, which is your highest rated project of the year at 9.5.
I love that show for some reason.
Daredevil, as a whole, like we rated it for the people at home. If you're just now tuning into our show, welcome. But we did Daredevil as an entire 3-season project. You gave a 9 out of 10. Moon Knight, you gave a 9.1 out of 10. I'm sorry, you have 5 things in the 9s. Stranger Things Season 4, you also gave a 9.1 out of 10. And then House of the Dragon Season 1, you gave a 9 out of 10. So does Andor hit the 9s?
In the 9s.
Yeah, I think all 5 of those hit the 9s, like, without a doubt. Because I think they all hit the 9s for me as well. Yep. And then I also had Werewolf by Night at a 9.2 out of 10.
I don't think Andor is as good as those shows for me, but I do think it's worthy of being in the 8s. So I'm glad you bring up the 9s. So it's once again worthy of being better than the 2 Star Wars entities. And it's worthy of being in the 8s. Those shows, like, I either was being a nerd and like all out experience, or they had me on the edge of my seat. And Andor did for parts of it, but at the same time, and it's not Andor's fault. You run the risk of having a show like this. We know that most of these side characters, because they're not in Rogue One, are going to die or be phased out into Star Wars and maybe get a splinter, like a spinoff. And we also know the fate of Cassian. So I'm not knocking it, but it's hard to get overly excited as I did to some of the other shows when I kind of know what's going to happen.
It's kind of like Black Widow in a way, but much better than Black Widow.
Yes.
Where we know the fate, but like this, I think, was a much better delivered product, even though we know the fate. So Dylan, your season 1 of Andor score.
My season 1 of Andor score, I would give, I think like an 8.4, I would say, as a whole. I think it was really good. It's not many things. There's a couple times where I dragged. Honestly, I'd probably give it higher, but the more I think about it, that one weird guy is useless in the plot. I don't understand how he's going to come in. The one, like, simp guy who...
Yeah.
His mom,
He did annoy you.
He's just kind of cringe. I don't know.
That is your second project this year to hit the 8s, not including the 9s, obviously. The other project in the 8s for you was Werewolf by Night at a flat 8 out of 10. I'm right around the same with you, although I did give Obi-Wan an 8.8 out of 10. Mm-hmm. I think this is better.
Hey,
but
for the
also,
record, people, Kyle and I usually rate stuff the day after or the day we watch it. So sometimes we might go a little higher or lower than what we should have. We're only humans after all.
But also, I feel like there's a lot of things that like Obi-Wan did really well that also Andor did similarly, if that makes sense to everybody at home. So I'm gonna give it a point higher. I'm gonna go 8.9 for Andor. Okay. Doesn't really hit the 8 or the 9s like Dylan said. There are some parts that it's like you do have to trudge through a little bit. But that's also, I think, just a product of the length of the season, where, you know, they have to put in some things for the plot to get it to where you want it to be, like those 2 episodes we watched, and then we get that payoff episode, and it's like, oh, it all makes sense. But you have to wait 3 weeks for that to benefit, and I think, you know, that build-up, it kind of makes you question, like, should I keep riding with this show? Like, what is actually going to happen? So it does make you question some things a little bit along the way, but overall, I think it was a really well-done show. I'm excited for Season 2, and with shows that have multiple seasons, Dylan and I are obviously giving our Season 1 rating. Mm-hmm. Once the show comes to a close after Season 2, we're going to rate everything together, just like we did with Daredevil, we'll eventually do with Peacemaker, House of the Dragon, stuff like that for people at home. Just so you know, we'll have a cumulative score for the project as a whole. But 8.9 plus 8.4 adds up to 17.3. Divide that by 2. That's 8.65, which in our book, Dylan, rounds up to a nice, comfortable 8.7 out of 10.
Too bad.
Which I think is really, really solid for this show. I think it slots in nicely with our overall ratings. It is above our overall Obi-Wan score and Book of Boba Fett score, which makes total sense for us because we both think this is a much better project. And it is the 4th project to get into the 8s for us in 2022. It joins Werewolf by Night at an 8.6, She-Hulk at a flat 8, and Obi-Wan at an 8.4. And then we have projects that are in the 9s for everybody at home, our overall 9s. Peacemaker Season 1 at a 9.5, Daredevil as a whole at a 9.3, Moon Knight at a 9.4, Stranger Things Season 4 at a 9.5, We've got House of the Dragon season 1 at 9.1 out of 10 as well.
Because we enjoyed all those shows in 9.
Yeah.
Pat and I both.
That's like the stratosphere you have to hit to
Yeah.
be in the 9. Like, you have to be in that Daredevil, that Peacemaker, Moon Knight, Stranger Things, House of the... Like, you've got to deliver on that type of level, and I think Andor was just shy of, like, hitting that mark. But that's not to say, once season 2 is included, that it's not going to hit that mark as a whole as an entire show.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And season 2 might even be better. Yeah, who knows? It could be worse. We won't know until we watch it, review it, and then go from there.
I think 8.7 is super solid for that, and I think that falls like right in that Mandalorian category. Like,
Yeah.
we're always hovering around the high 8s, low 9s with Mando, like episode by episode. Very well done. Nice job by the Gilroys. And it was a brilliant, August to November run of, or September to November, I should say, because they did push it back for Andor season 1. But that brings us to the long-awaited movie review of The Card Counter. This was a movie that I got a targeted ad for on YouTube, and I said, Oscar Isaac. This was like right after we watched Moon Knight, too. This was around April. And I said, why have I not seen anything about this movie like on TV? And I go and look up the cast. It's got Oscar Isaac, Tiffany Haddish, Willem Dafoe. And then I also, as I'm watching it, I'm like, this guy looks really familiar as well. And come to find out, we have New Era Sop. It didn't get... Am I back?
Yeah, you're good. I think you're back.
There we go. Come on. I see the thing at the top, too. Come on, buddy. I swear if this is because my dad is watching something upstairs on a streaming platform. The irony.
It's on brand for us, though.
Come on. It's working its way. I just don't want this to die. Come on. There we go. 3, 2, 1. So, I see this cast and I'm like blown away. And I'm like, why is this not getting marketing the way that I feel like it should? So we're going to talk about The Card Counter, which, like I mentioned, stars Oscar Isaac, Willem Dafoe, Tiffany Haddish, Ty Sheridan, like loaded cast. The premise for this movie came out in 2021. It's a crime drama film written by Paul Schrader, executive produced by Martin Scorsese, and it's about a character known as William Tell, who is Oscar Isaac. He's a gambler who taught himself how to count cards during an 8-year stint in military prison, which came out of left field. I was not expecting that to be like the basis of this
That
movie.
was a good detail, because when he goes first back to the prison, it doesn't say military prison. I was watching it with my girlfriend, and I was like telling her, I was like, this looks cleaner than a regular prison. I was like, I don't know if this is like military or like some kind of government prison. And then she was like, I don't know. And I kept watching. But like, it's just funny hearing you say that, because the whole time I'm like, until you learn later, I'm like, aha, it was a military prison.
Leo meme. Seeking to avoid attention, either fame or casino bouncers, Tell's gambling philosophy is to bet small and win modestly. Very funny that we've been talking about gambling this whole time.
Pretty ingenious, though, his theory. Like, he's very... He wins just enough where they don't even care. Like, whatever.
Right. And despite gambling nearly every day, he never stays in a casino hotel. He lives out of 2 small suitcases and stays in motels where he removes any decor and covers all the furniture in plain sheets secured by twine. And Dylan, I don't know about you, but anytime I saw him doing that, I just was like, Moon Knight.
Moon Knight? And I also was like, am I watching some weird 50 Shades of Grey shit? Like, why are you covering everything?
The first time I saw him like lay down, I was like, I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams.
It's true, though.
And then the song played in my head. Every day I wake up, then I start to wake up. So then, at a casino, Tell encounters La Linda, an acquaintance from the gambling world She runs a stable. This is Tiffany Haddish's character. A group of investors who back gamblers for a portion of their winnings. She offers to take William, but he refuses, unwilling to be burdened by the responsibility. Then we go to the backyard, Dylan, in Atlantic City, the Electric City.
It kind of had me wanting to text you. The movie, I was like, Kyle, we're going to go shoot some craps.
You want to get down to Atlantic City real quick, bro?
You want to play some bets?
A security industry convention is being held in the same building as the casino. Until slips into a seminar by retired Major John Gordo, but decides to leave almost immediately. On the way out, he is recognized and confronted by a young man, Kirk Balfour, who is Ty Sheridan's character, and Major John Gordo is Willem Dafoe's character. And Balfour, who slips him his name and number after a nightmare about torture in a prison camp. Tell calls the young man and agrees to meet. Kirk informs Tell he knows who he really is, PFC William Tillich, a soldier who was tried and convicted for his role in the Abu Ghraib torture and prisoner abuse, which I believe...
That's when the movie, I was like, Kyle...
That is a real thing, too, for the people at home. That happened during the early stages of the Iraq War.
That's when I was like, what the... Because I knew nothing about this movie. And I was like, I thought I was watching a card movie, Kyle.
Right? So then Kirk explains that his father, Roger Balfour, was also at Abu Ghraib. Like Tell, he was dishonorably discharged and served time, but the experience led him to a drug addiction and made him violently abusive. Kirk's mother left the family, and Roger eventually killed himself. Gordo was the superior of Tillich and the elder Balfour, and trained them in, quote, enhanced interrogation techniques, unquote, which Wikipedia defines as a euphemism for the program of systematic torture of detainees by the CIA, the DIA, which is the Defense Intelligence Agency, and various components of the U.S. Armed Forces at remote sites around the world. Yikes. But as he was involved in a, quote, civilian consultant avoiding facing any charges or culpability, Kirk holds Gordo responsible for what happened to his family and is planning to capture, torture, and kill him for revenge and seek Tell's help. Tell refuses but offers to take Kirk along as he gambles in an attempt to help the young man avoid a violent life. At their next stop, Tell informs Lalinda that he is interested in making an arrangement. He reveals to her his desire to go to the World Series of Poker. The tour in order to win enough money to help Kirk cover his debts and start a new life, after which Tell will retire. After early World Series of Poker matches, Tell makes money but loses to Mr. USA, an obnoxious Ukrainian player.
Obnoxious is a fucking understatement.
Yes.
The whole movie, I'm sitting there and I'm like, can this guy, is it going to turn into a murder? Because honestly, I'm advocating for this. Like, this guy is so annoying. He literally does nothing. And I want that
USA.
USA. That's all he does.
He's like Red Guardian.
Yeah, Red Guardian at least says sentences. This guy literally says USA and like stares at Oscar Isaac when they're playing poker briefly, and that's it.
Yes.
Man, finesse the system.
And they describe him as taking on a jingoistic American persona, which is nationalism in the form of aggressive and proactive foreign policy, such as countries' advocacy for the use of threats or actual force, as opposed to peaceful relations, in efforts to safeguard what it perceives as its national interests, which is very on the nose, very accurate.
Well, yeah, it's very awesome in the sense where, like, directing-wise, awesome, because he's always in the background, especially later. So just like a constant reminder of Oscar Isaac's character and what you just said.
He bonds with Kirk and feels a growing attraction to Lalinda, but avoids getting too close as he continues making money gambling. At a qualifying round in Panama City, Kirk shares that he still plans to kill Gordo. Tell takes Kirk back to his motel, confronting the younger man with a harsh interrogator persona. He presents.
That was crazy.
He went sicko mode on his ass.
He did. It's kind of weird seeing him use what he learned for good in that, and
yes,
what we presumed was going to be good.
And then he presents Kirk with $150,000 from his gambling winnings, enough for Kirk to pay off his and his mother's debts and return to college. He insists Kirk return to his mother in Oregon and forget about Gordo, threatening violence if he does not comply. Kirk leaves with the money. Tell, who has begun a relationship with Linda, advances to the final table of the World Series of Poker, and while on a break, he receives a message from Kirk revealing that rather than returning home, he went to Gordo's house to kill him. Tell is unsettled during the resumed match and abruptly walks off the casino floor. A news report shows that Gordo had killed an armed home intruder, presumably Kirk, and Tell drives through the night to get to Gordo's house, covering the furniture as he does in his motel rooms. Gordo returns home and Tell holds him at gunpoint, revealing who he is and why he's there. Rather than shooting him, Tell takes Gordo into another room for dramatic reenactment of their time in Abu Ghraib. Both men are heard screaming in agony, and eventually Tell emerges from the room severely wounded and covered in blood. He calls the police to report a homicide. Tell is incarcerated in the same military prison as before, accepting the routine and ascetic setting as he feels it is what he deserves. Lilinda arrives for a visit, and the two reach out to each other, each placing a single finger on the glass, separating them, and then the credits roll.
Fucking hated the ending. The last 5 minutes or so, like, I didn't necessarily hate him murdering William Dafoe's character because he's a piece of shit, and it is like full circle, like he trained him. And it's Oscar Isaacs trying to repent for his sins. That's the whole point of the movie. It's a man that, was a soldier and became something more in a dark way in this instance, and then was kind of thrown out and like forgotten, and then used as a scapegoat for his country. And then he developed habits to kind of like, obviously he does gambling because I think, like, my take was he counts cards because you have to actively use your brain a lot to count.
Yes.
So I think he literally can't think about his past when he's counting cards because he's just doing math in his head. Like there's no opportunity for the previous thoughts of his traumatizing life to like sneak in. So I like all that. I just don't necessarily like a couple key turns, which I'm saying this because it'll reflect my rating in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I like Ty Sheridan's character. I just don't like the decision to let him go because homie's living up large. You give him stacks of like $500,000, and he just randomly steals like, I'm gonna kill him. Which I get. He grew up kind of rough, and then you just give him $150K, and you hope he's just gonna magically not want to kill him anymore.
Yeah, it was kind of rough.
The torture scene was scary, but you have his dad used to beat the shit out of him.
Right.
So he's kind of, I don't want to say used to that, but he's been pushed around and been hit before, so I don't know if it had the same scare effect that Oscar Isaacs wanted it to. And I didn't like that, and I didn't necessarily like the ending where Tiffany Haddish's character goes to him in prison. They had a relationship for all of like one day. And I give her credit, like that's a ride or die, because one day in, and she's visiting the military prison after he literally commits torture porn with his old CEO. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, that rubbed me the wrong way. And the whole hand on the glass thing, it was cheesy. Yeah. I was like kind of surprised, like Martin's, like this was him co-directing something. I was like, ew. I was like, how did he agree to this? I just didn't fit. My opinion.
Yeah, that part was kind of, here we go with this dang Wi-Fi again. That part was kind of interesting to me that like they went that route. I will say, from Tiffany Haddish's character's perspective, I liked her character, and it proved a lot to me because typically, I think you would agree, we're accustomed to seeing Tiffany Haddish in more comedic roles. She's a comedian. That's what that's her wheelhouse. To see her in a more serious, like, drama role was very intriguing, and I liked it a lot, and I hope she, like, gets more roles like this in the future.
Yeah.
Because I think she did a really good job portraying that role and being in a movie like this.
I think I think so too. I think she did good. I don't think Oscar Isaacs did bad. Ty Sheridan. I don't think he's a terrible actor. I don't think he's great, but he just didn't really have to do much. He played the disheveled, depressed kid role well. William Dafoe, like, he said all of like 3 sentences, which is also a gripe in itself. No, I mean, it's not a bad movie. I recommended it to people, actually, even though my rating's not going to be that high, just because of how out of left field this movie is. Because I thought I was watching Daddy Oscar Isaacs count and sling some cards.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was going to be more of a gambling storyline, which it was, but it felt like that was more the subplot than the actual plot.
Because a certain man by the name of Martin was attached to it, and I was like, oh, it's going to be like a crime-y vibe. Like, no, the only thing criminal is our main protagonist going to jail again.
Yeah. So we're going to give our ratings. I do have Christian's Letterboxd rating. Yes, Letterboxd. They're not a sponsor, but we are on Letterboxd now as one of our new social media platforms. It is very cool. Basically, it is what Dylan and I do every week when we rate a show or a movie. It's where all of our movie ratings are also going to be publicly viewable, as well as all of the Marvel shows, because they have all the Marvel Disney Plus shows on there as well. So you can follow us on Letterboxd. Just search StreamerSZN, StreamerSZN. We're on Letterboxd. You can see all of our ratings and everything. We're going to be updating that as frequently as possible. Christian's Letterboxd review, Dylan, here. Letterboxd goes on a 5-star scale. So Christian gave it a 3.5, which I would assume, if I'm doing some math, maybe that rounds up to a 7 out of 10 on our scale. I'll find out fully when I talk to Christian later on. But so Christian's review here says, with compounding depth the further you dig, Schrader's latest effort is a very solid film. That's his mini review on Letterboxd. We'll have ours up once this episode's out for you guys. And obviously, take into account our scores kind of get mathed around on Letterboxd with what we give on our out of 10 scale. But overall, I think you and I were very much on the same page with this movie, where we enjoyed Tiffany Haddish. I think Oscar Isaac did a very great job once again. Like, he can do no wrong in our eyes. And I think he portrayed a very solid character in this film as well. Ty Sheridan was very good for the role he was portraying, and took on a bigger role than I think we both anticipated him having in this movie,
for sure.
which was cool. And then I think the only downfall was like the actual plot being what it was is kind of a curveball, and then not that was a downfall per se, but like kind of caught you off guard. And then I think the biggest downfall was like the lack of Willem Dafoe.
Lack of William Dafoe and the ending that just kind of do it in for me. And also, when you think about it, there really isn't that much. Like, a lot happens in the movie, a lot doesn't. Like, a lot of the movies just like him playing poker, and randomly it's like, boom, I have PTSD because I was a torturer, and then which is fine. Then it digs more into that, which is interesting. But then I don't know. I would have liked to got to know William Dafoe's character more, maybe heard his side of the things. I would have even liked to explore Ty Sheridan's character a little bit more and understand like really why, and even La Linda, because she's kind of a mystery too, and even Oscar Isaac's character, like, we really only know as one aspect of life. We know like he went to prison, did all that torturing, liked it, was good at it, and then is trying to repent. I don't know. It's not a bad film. It's just not.
I wonder.
Let's take it out.
I want to hear your opinion on it, because it just came to my head. Do you think? Here's 2 options for you. Do you think this movie would have been better as a series? Or would you like to see spin-off series about some of these characters potentially in the future?
I'm curious if like he ever got out of jail again. That'd be interesting. Like 20 years from now or whatever, like an older version of him, maybe. Like,
for the record, I don't think either are going to happen.
No, I don't think either. I don't think either. So I'm going to say no. I think it's fine in movie format. And I think it is what it is. I think it's the ending, even though I don't like it, it's pretty concrete, Like 2 characters are dead. One's in prison. One's dating a prisoner. You know what I mean? It's not much to go on. But I think I would have to. I'm trying to think this whole time I'm talking. My rating's been going like up and down. I think if I would my final answer, this might be a score that some people would call nice. I'm gonna give it a 6.9, just because, and not for the meme, because the ending just it doesn't sit with me that much. That if that ending was not there, the whole prison hand scene, I probably would have given it like a 7.1 or a 7.2. But because I don't like that, that bumps it down.
Dylan did text me after he watched it that he was disappointed in the ending.
Yes.
So that's not just on the, like, this has been in Dylan's brain since he watched the movie. So 6.9, I again don't think that's bad. That's what I gave Don't Worry Darling. It's better than your Barbarian score. It's better than your score for The Gray Man. And I think I'm going to give the card counter a 7.4 out of 10. I think it's better than The Gray Man, and it was definitely better than The Barbarian and Don't Worry Darling for me.
Yes.
I think we both had like similar gripes with this movie, but overall, like, I think it's a pretty solid film. You can kind of see why it didn't get the TV advertising, and it kind of got the digital advertising on everything. But I think there's a lot of cool things to take away from this movie, and I think they did a really solid job with it, which, for the people at home, everybody, we love some quick math. 7.4 plus 6.9 adds up to 14.3. Divide that by 2. That's a 7.15, which rounds up to 7.2 out of 10, which is our highest movie score of 2022 so far.
So we can only go up.
We can only go up. We've got other movies on the list, too, that we added to our watch list on Letterboxd, which you can take a look at, get a sneak preview of some of the things Dylan and I plan on watching, which include, but are not limited to, both Enola Holmes movies starring our queen, Millie Bobby Brown, from Stranger Things. We plan on watching those. Christmas movies, like we said at the top of the show. Recommend us, what you want us to see, if it's new, old, so we can do some Christmas movies as we head into the holiday season here in December. But we'll be putting all of our movie reviews and everything on Letterboxd, so make sure you follow us there and check out everything we've got on there. We also have a list of like how we've ranked the MCU projects we've talked about on the show so far, and I think there's only, for Phase 4, I should say, I think there's only 2 that we have to do still, which Thor: Love and Thunder is on that list, and then Wakanda Forever. I've been
putting that off for so long.
Which I don't blame you. But yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder we'll eventually get to give our review on that, since it's on Disney Plus now, and then Wakanda Forever. And then Phase 4 will be...
That I have leeway with because it's at least new. Thor, that's my bad, folks.
And then we'll also... I know we talked about Spider-Man, but we'll put our Spider-Man No Way Home review on there as well.
We definitely talked about it. I think that was actually one I saw before you, so that's probably why.
Yeah, we were like close to seeing it at the same time, and then it's just not on a streaming platform yet. So
yeah.
But what is on a streaming platform is the new Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which, Dylan, I think the Guardians, am I wrong? They're like one of your favorite Marvel like entities?
Yeah, I enjoyed. I mean, yeah, I would say for sure, like comic wise and movie wise, yeah. I was gonna say I love the movies like the most, but like going back, there are parts of the Guardian movies where I'm like, eh. But like all in all, as a younger adult or a kid, really, I forgot how long ago the first Guardians came out.
2014, man.
Liked the movies. I liked the whole dynamic. And I didn't necessarily hate this. Kyle made a good point off camera. It's going to be campy because it's a Christmas story. That's just how they are. They're overly cheesy. That's literally like the textbook definition of a Christmas Hallmark type film. And it does that well.
Yeah, 100%. And I love the story that came out when they did the featurette for this. I don't know if you saw it. This was the first project that was pitched to Disney Plus for Marvel. When they were filming Guardians 2, James Gunn told Kevin Feige, we should do a Christmas special. We should do a holiday special. James Gunn is a big fan of the original vintage classic Star Wars holiday special. And you can tell there's a lot of, similarities from that with the Guardians holiday special. But even though this is a campy, tropey holiday type thing, it's very enjoyable. And I told Dylan off camera before we started recording, I think there's like 4 major things from this holiday special that are massive to the wider MCU, like, world building type of situation going into Phase 5 and going into
Kevin
Guardians
Bacon
of the Galaxy
is Marvel
3.
canon. That's number 1.
Yeah, like, I think a lot of people are glossing over the fact that the credits said, and introducing Kevin Bacon. To me, that says Kevin Bacon's going to be popping up a bunch throughout Phase 5. I don't know. I could be reading too much into that.
He might be.
But I think introducing is a very selective word to use.
Maybe he's like an Easter egg.
I wouldn't hate it. Maybe Kevin Bacon is the new Stan Lee.
Yeah, maybe not to that extent. Maybe like any Guardian entity, like because of the memories that he made with them. Maybe they like talk about him in passing, or whenever they visit Earth, Chris or them go and see Kevin Bacon. I don't know.
I like that too. So the Guardians of the Galaxy. First things first. I'm the realist. The first big thing, they have purchased Nowhere from the Collector. That right off the bat, timeout, 5-yard penalty. What the hell is going on? Automatic first down. This proves a lot of things that have been speculated and fan theorized. One, the Collector's alive after everything that happened in Infinity War. 2, this kind of proves the fan theory that if you remember all the way back to Loki, Dylan, when they show in the finale jumping from one black hole to the other, there's that little spaceship flying. A lot of people speculated that that's the Collector's ship.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this kind of proves that in a way. And now, obviously Peter Quill, part Celestial. They've now set up shop in the head of a Celestial. Pretty interesting stuff there. But I think them purchasing Nowhere, and now we kind of know where. Haha. The Guardians are kind of their home bases for Guardians 3. I think that's super important.
Yeah, no, it's very important because you know, like, where some of the plot's going to be taken or, like, what they might lose because now they have a home to fight for.
And with them purchasing Nowhere, they've also got a new member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. One of my favorite, like, side characters, if you will, Cosmo the Space Dog, is now part of the Guardians, as they should be.
Who doesn't like a dog, A, B, a talking dog, C, a talking dog with a Russian accent?
Soviet Space Dog, Cosmo. As Christmas approaches, Kraglin tells the Guardians the story of how Yondu ruined Christmas for Peter Quill in his childhood with the very, like, classic cartoon 6 frames per second style, which
Yep.
I loved. I loved how that opened up. How the Grinch stole Christmas, but how Yondu ruined Christmas. I hate Christmas.
Smash.
I love Yondu. And Mantis discusses with Drax on finding a perfect Christmas present for Peter Quill, as the latter is still depressed following the loss of Gamora. Obviously, Gamora gone, and 2014 Gamora out in the universe somewhere, but not with this Guardians of the Galaxy.
Not yet.
Not yet. And after brainstorming for ideas, they decide to go to Earth and retrieve Quill's childhood hero, actor Kevin Bacon. But this is not before part 2 of, like, holy shit. We find out another long speculated fan theory that Mantis is Peter Quill's half-sister.
Yeah. That one I never really even thought about. It's kind of one of those things that just didn't really... And when she said it, I was like, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense because Ego was around and spreading his children adventures everywhere.
And when Ego talks about his kids and everything at one point when he shows the display of him with all the women, in the left corner there is a woman that looks like Mantis's species. So a lot of people since Guardians 2 have kind of speculated, oh, is Mantis Peter Quill's sister? Confirmed. Peter Quill's sister. So Mantis and Drax arrive in Hollywood. I have to say, the choice of it being Mantis and Drax was so brilliantly done by James Gunn and company. Like, Dave Bautista and the actor who plays Mantis, who I'm totally blanking on, and I feel terrible about it right now.
I think she's French or something.
I'm gonna pull it up right now.
It's like Palm, right?
Yeah, Plum Clementif. They were phenomenal together. Like, perfect, like, buddy cop-esque team up from two members of the Guardians of the Galaxy on Earth.
I think it makes the most sense because Chris Pratt's character, Star-Lord, Peter Quill, has not really been to Earth in a while, and he also would fit in because he's, a human. Groot would cause too much tension, and probably a local hero would be called. They look like people dressed in like cosplay, like Comic-Con type. Also, Raccoon, Animal Control might come out. So, and then also Rocket is very intelligent, so he would, like, in terms of speaking, he would be able to, like, understand easily, like, Earth's customs and stuff.
And if somebody called him a raccoon, he'd kill him.
That's true. So he would have a body count and or be in animal control. Whereas those two, I don't want to say clueless but it's kind of true. Like, they are clueless compared to some of their counterparts in the group. They are just goofy people.
Yes.
And it makes sense that they're on Earth together, experiencing all these things, and they're just going through it.
So they arrive in Hollywood, where they attempt to search for Kevin Bacon, and after spending some time at Grauman's Chinese Theater, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and a bar, they acquire a map of celebrities' residences and locate Kevin Bacon's home in Beverly Hills, but not before they go through a map where they see, like, a whole bunch of different celebrities on the map that I don't know if that makes those celebrities MCU canon or not.
Because they're in it. And also, it's just, they got wasted at that bar, bro.
Yeah, they got wasted. So then they arrive at Kevin Bacon's home, and Bacon, who is waiting for his family to come home, is terrified by the appearance of Mantis and Drax.
The plot of this more like a horror film.
Yes.
Because homie is just like, gets a call from his wife. He's got all the presents. He's like cooking. Like, he's doing a lot of things that you might not think a multimillionaires would do. He's just watching a Christmas film, like just relaxing on the couch. Totally normal guy.
And Kevin Bacon's actual wife voice cameo. And then the stockings had the names of both of Kevin Bacon's children, who his daughter was one of the stars of the new movie Smile that came out earlier this year.
I did see that.
So that's Kevin Bacon's daughter. And then he's waiting for his family to come home. He's terrified by the appearance of Mantis and Drax and attempts to escape. Police arrive to help, but Mantis places them and Kevin Bacon in a trance before taking the bacon with them. And as they return to nowhere, Mantis and Drax are disappointed to learn that Kevin Bacon is an actor. How disgusting. They are the worst of the worst. And not a real-life hero. Third thing, Kevin Bacon says he's Batman. No, he's not Batman. He's Bruce Wayne. This is another DC reference.
So you think we're getting the crossover soon? Is that what you're going to get?
I just feel like, and we've talked about this, especially now that James Gunn is in charge of DC, I think it makes that bridge easier to cross. I'm not saying it will happen.
Comic book line, right? When they cross over, it's a pretty big thing.
Yeah. And, we got Superman and Batman references in Eternals. I just think it's making the bridge that much easier to cross, and Kevin Feige and James Gunn to, unite together and be like, let's do the crossover.
So do you think in the MCU, do you think DC is like their version of the MCU? Like, you think DC is
possible.
Like comics?
That's very possible.
Because I feel like we haven't had enough Easter eggs yet of DC characters in our MCU where I would be confident saying they are like entities, because like by now, if Batman was a thing, like there'd be a lot more on some crazy dude. It makes sense, though. It's a good little theory I just thought of. But no, that's a good point. That. Also, why did Kevin Bacon go to like World War II British vet?
Right? We're going to kick some Nazi ass.
Be a hero. Well, I guess that makes sense, but it was weird hearing British.
Yeah, that was very funny. Good acting by Kevin Bacon. But yeah, I just think another DC, and it's very funny that DC reference comes out now that James Gunn is in charge of DC. So we get that in there as well. And then Later, the Guardians surprise Peter with a Christmas celebration, but Quill is horrified to learn that Kevin Bacon has been kidnapped against his will. It's human trafficking, and it's even funnier because that's exactly what happened to Peter Quill with Yondu.
Yeah. Yeah. Full circle.
And then demanding that he be returned home, Peter does for Kevin Bacon, and then on the Guardians' new spaceship, the Bowie. Every Guardian spaceship has a famous musician name. There's the Benatar, now there's the Bowie. Bacon learns from Kraglin how Kevin Bacon inspired Peter Quill's heroism and decides to celebrate Christmas with the Guardians before returning home because Kevin Bacon obviously winning with a dance-off. Peter Quill saved the galaxy with a dance-off. And then after the celebration, Quill reveals to Mantis that Yondu eventually changed his mind about Christmas and gifted him a pair of blasters, which now serve as his primary weapons. Mantis confides in him that she is Quill's half-sister. After years of refusing to tell him the truth out of fear of reminding him of his father's ego's misdeeds, to Quill's surprise and elation, it's the best Christmas gift he could have ever gotten. And then some of the Christmas gifts that the Guardians get.
Bucky's arm was dying, dude.
I think it's very interesting. We got Swole Groot, which is what James Gunn is calling this version of Groot. He is Swole Groot. Groot has an artistic side ever since, like, teenage Groot that we saw in Infinity War and Endgame when he makes Stormbreaker out of his arm, and then in the I Am Groot, mini specials, like the shorts, he makes the art at the very last one of all the Guardians when he pulls Rocket's tail off and everything. And then now he makes up to the second like dioramas of everything. And then the very last one is Kraglin opening his gift. That is the Kraglin sculpture, and it goes down like a nesting doll. Very funny. This Groot is very artistic, very fun, and I'm excited to see just more Groot in the MCU as we move forward with Swole Groot, who loved the 97s. Also very fun cameo. That is Kevin Bacon's actual band.
That's okay, so that's why I was like, why are they in there? And why is this guy singing? Also, I didn't know Kevin Bacon could sing. I always forget.
Yeah, he was great. And then Bucky's arm. Where do you think they got Bucky's arm from?
It has to be an extra. I don't know how or why.
So I saw a cool theory. And it's not that Bucky went to space or Nebula went down to Earth or whatever. Because the last time we saw Bucky was at the end of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Where he still had that arm.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, I think it was on Twitter or New Rockstars or somebody said, remember in Endgame when Nebula is with them at the Avengers complex and she puts her fingers in the machine to like get all the data and everything?
Yeah.
They speculated that maybe she got the schematics for Bucky's arm from that because it is vibranium and she built it herself.
That makes sense. She's smart enough to do that. Because I don't picture her going all the way to Earth and just yanking just Yaga some guy's arm away. Maybe she did. I don't know.
Hey, we did see the Dora Milaje do it.
That's true. We learned that Bucky is Lily Miss Nesbit.
So we got that, and then also the song at the beginning with the 97s, the Christmas song.
That was
Mrs. Claus works the pole.
That was wild.
Absolutely hilarious. But I think there's a lot of important things to take away from this Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. And then we get the post-credit scene of them decorating Groot, which I was waiting for the entire time. And Groot messes it up, and then Rocket says, now we got to get another special. Yes, give us Guardians of the Galaxy specials every holiday. Need it. It's so funny. Don't know how much time James Gunn has to get them all cooked out before he leaves to go on his 4-year voyage with DC, but overall, like, this was a very fun, lighthearted, yet important special to be added to the MCU. A perfect, as James Gunn put it, it is the bookend for Phase 4 and a prologue to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh, he's very much very much exciting to watch because, like any holiday special, it's going to be campy and it's going to be like overdone, but that's just kind of how they are, like always. Like think of any Christmas movie you like and think to yourself, is it kind of similar vibes? And the answer is probably yes. But it's cool seeing it done with Marvel characters and directed by James Gunn.
And I think it was cool too, like we've gotten 2 holiday specials now from Marvel with very different vibes, and obviously it's different holidays, but very different like approaches, and I like that a lot, and I hope we just continue to get more holiday specials to kind of fill voids that not necessarily are meant for a TV show and not good, like not that they're not good enough, but not like long enough to tell a full like 2.5 hour movie story. I think these holiday specials are very, very well done, and they continue to impress, and I'm excited for whatever the next one may be, and I hope we get like a gazillion more, because they're super fun to look forward to. They're very rewatchable, and if you haven't already, go watch the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Do it now!
But Dylan, your score for the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special is...
I'm going to give it like a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's like amazing. Like it's not like critically acclaimed, but I have a theory. I told you a while ago on my thing about horror movies. It's kind of the same thing with Christmas movies. When you think about it, not many Christmas movies, like when you look at it as like a movie, not a holiday special or a holiday movie, not many holiday movies are like actually that well done. They're over nostalgified or like campy, and that's just kind of the vibe they go for, and that's fine. But I give it a 7. I think it was fine. I think some actors looked more excited to be there. Chris Pratt looked like he was being held at gunpoint to be there. His acting, he did not look excited at all.
Granted, I do think that was the vibe they were trying to give off, but yeah. I definitely agree with that.
He's just like reading his contract. He was like, Christmas special. He was like, James.
It's a me, Star-Lord.
It's a me, Mario. I can't do that.
Yeah. And I mean, also remember for everybody at home, we're putting this on the holiday special short scale, which is kind of what I Am Groot falls on, and Werewolf by Night, which I think Werewolf by Night right now is kind of the standard for a holiday special, if you will. Yeah. I'm going to give Guardians, the holiday special, an 8.2 out of 10. I thought it was very fun. I thought Mantis and Drax, Dave Bautista, and blanking again. Palm Clementine. I thought they were both phenomenal in this. They really shine in this special, rightfully so. And I love Swole Groot, and I'm excited to see like how this kind of leads into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 as well. But I'm going to give it an 8.2 out of 10. And there's very important stuff to take away from this. Like, this is something that, like, even though it's a holiday special, you kind of have to watch it, because there's a lot to take away from it for the grand scheme of the MCU.
You're not wrong. There is like some crazy plot development in what is a special. I wanted Nova. They didn't give me Nova.
They didn't give us Nova. But I think he might be coming because he's definitely getting a show. So that's exciting. But 8.2 plus 7 divided by 2 is 7.6 out of 10, which I think is a very solid score for a holiday special, if I do say so myself, Dylan.
It's definitely up there, Kyle.
So let me pop that in there. This might be a record, too, for the amount of scores we've given out on the pod in a single podcast. But there it is. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Go enjoy it. Go watch it. But without any further ado, Dylan, that brings us to everybody's favorite segment. Ooh. It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by our homies over at Pickup and our fantastic merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. Go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports, rack up points on your fan profiles, cash them in for prizes on the Pickup Marketplace, and go get your merch.
Your merch.
PHI Apparel Company, the official merch provider of StreamerSZN and Underground Sports Philadelphia. With their unique designs, there's no doubt you're going to stand out at the movie theater, at the premieres if you're so lucky to go to a premiere, or even right at home on your couch. You're gonna look the best dressed in your Streamer Season merch. The classic Streamer Season letters that you see above Dylan every single podcast episode and that are in our logo, that's on a shirt right now. And I've said this on multiple podcasts this week, Dylan. This is first edition Streamer Season merch. This is the first time Streamer Season has had merch in our company's history. So if you want to be one of the first to have a Streamer Season t-shirt, PHI Apparel Company is the one that has it.
That's bananas when you think about it. Like, I mean that obviously in the best way possible, because like I think we're at the stage where we now have merch for this show.
Merch officially back for all of our shows, and I'm going to do something very fun, Dylan. I'm going to do something very fun that I have done on Top Bins, and I've done it on Get in the Hole. We have new merch coming as well for all of our shows. I want you to think streetwear hype beast brand that I'm not going to give a free ad to, but I'm going to put it on the screen for 3 seconds for people to see. Get a little taste of what's coming. And I want you to picture this on like a black t-shirt, a white t-shirt, even a pink t-shirt. It's going to look snazzy if that is available, which I hope it is. It's going to look good on any color because that's what Streamer Season is. But here it is. This is going to be on a shirt in 3, 2, 1. There it is. That's going to be on a shirt. So, phiapparel.co, you guys can use our code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any apparel when you shop at phiapparel.co. That's code UNDERGROUND for 10% off phiapparel.co. Plus, new merch is going to be coming all the time. Like, we have a merch partner now. It's very exciting. Dylan, since the last time we recorded, I don't think we've talked about this. Bob Iger is back as CEO at Disney effective immediately. Bob Chapek has stepped down. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Oh, God.
I'm so happy about this. This is huge in so many ways. Welcome back, Bob. And I want you to guess, Dylan. I want you to guess. How old do you think Bob Iger is?
How old?
Yes.
50?
He looks 50. I'll give him. He looks phenomenal for his age. Bob Iger is the young, youthful age of 71.
What?
And looks unbelievable.
I gotta Google this, folks.
Look up Bob Iger, and you're gonna be blown away. He looks great for his age.
Wow. Okay, I see it more in that picture, but holy shit. Good for him.
It's crazy. He looks fantastic. Another movie that will be on our watch list. It is on our watch list. It is Glass Onion, a Knives Out story. It's now at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 127 reviews. It is in theaters right now, and Christian did send in our group text, Dylan, a whole big old slew about Glass Onion here. Apparently, cinema owners asked Netflix to play Glass Onion in more theaters and for a longer period of time. However, Netflix reportedly declined, and Christian sent to us, he said, I'm of two minds about this. Yes, they should want more people to watch it on their service. At the same time, they could have made $300+ million by just letting this play in theaters for 3 weeks, and then people rewatch the shit out of it on Netflix. Paying $400 million for the rights to the next 2 movies, money which you likely won't make back in subscribers, and not maxing out the theatrical money feels less than ideal. And I actually have to agree across the board with that.
I would, I'm not gonna. Yeah, no, I agree too. Not much to argue with there.
Yeah. Updates on Blade, Dylan. Jan Demange will now direct Blade. The new script is being written by Michael Starbury, and I'm going to let everybody know who Jan Demange is. For the people at home who may not know, Jan has worked on projects. He's a French film director and has worked on the following projects. The movie 71 from 2014, White Boy Rick in 2018, and then his next big thing here is going to be Blade. He also was a director for Lovecraft Country in 2020.
That's not bad at all.
So that's going to be big time. Big time fan of that choice. Like we mentioned during our Andor segment, Andor Season 2 is now filming. Moving on up here.
Moving on.
I don't know about you, Dylan. These Avatar movies, I'm over it already, and it's not even out yet, but James Cameron says Avatar The Way of Water has to become the third or fourth highest grossing film ever to be profitable. This means it has to make over $2 billion.
Why would you even say? I just feel like you're dooming yourself.
It's like, hey, don't say that.
You don't say that.
Twitter has fact-checked Elon Musk after he misquoted Dune. He said, "Fantasism is always a function of repressed doubt, Dune," and got the readers added context they thought people might want to know. This is not a quote from the book Dune, but from the psychologist Carl Jung. The actual quote is, "Fantasism is always a sign of repressed doubt, not a function."
Oh, Elon, you.
Dylan, just last week, we're going to feel really old. The original Toy Story, one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, was released 27 years ago last week.
That's older than me, Kyle.
It's an oldie, but a great one.
I saw they're making a Grinch horror movie. The trailer.
I saw that, too. That's very interesting.
It's called The Mean One or Mean One.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of makes sense. I can't even knock him for it because the Grinch is already a questionable individual in the family movie, The Grinch. So to say he goes off the deep end and starts murdering people, it's not really that much of a stretch.
Very true. Apparently this week, Dylan, we're going to get news for Season 3 of The Mandalorian at Brazil Comic-Con.
Awesome.
Cue the music. Moving on up here, we got a new official poster for The Last of Us, which we will definitely be talking about on this show.
Very excited for that show.
We also have here on our list of tings, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse producer Chris Miller, when asked if Tom Holland will appear in the film. I know this has been a very talked about thing where people, involved with the movie have said Tom Holland's not going to be in it. This is from Empire Magazine. Quote, "Let's say anything is possible in the multiverse." To me, that says Tom Holland's making an appearance.
It's either Tom Holland's making an appearance or that guy is super smart and he purposely said it to garner more attention and views. Either way, well done.
I want your take on this because I find this very interesting. Chris Hemsworth wants a completely new tone for Thor if he returns as the character. It would have to be a drastically different version just for my own sanity, he said. Another quote here, "I've had such a unique opportunity with Infinity War and Endgame to do very drastic things with the character. I enjoy that. It keeps me on my toes. When it becomes too familiar, I think there's a risk in it getting lazy."
I'm assuming he wants to be a more serious counterpart like his character is in the comics, because I honestly agree with that if that's the case, because I feel like Thor for our MCU, it was done kind of wrong. I feel like he's comic relief and he's not supposed to be that. I'm not mad they changed things, but I feel like ultimately he's still trying to get his power. Like, I feel like he's been nerfed for a lot of it. Maybe more recently, I haven't seen the new Thor movie, so I don't know. But realistically, Thor's supposed to be
he's a god.
He's a god. Not only is he a god, but he's supposed to be like the whole sayings you see on Twitter now. Like, he is him. Like he is him. Like, it's Thor. Like, he's supposed to be borderline broken. Like, he's supposed to just demolish most adversaries. And I don't think we've gotten that yet.
Yeah, I think Ragnarok was the one.
Yes. But that still relied on humor a decent portion, which I'm not mad about.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I would like to see more serious. And it makes sense because his character has suffered. I mean, a lot of loss in both his actual family and a family in terms of superhero friends. So it would make sense if his character kind of, wasn't the funny guy anymore and had a more serious role.
Speaking of serious roles, this is kind of interesting to me. I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm intrigued. According to Culture Crave, and this is a quote from Antonio Banderas. He's open to playing Zorro again and would want to, quote, pass the torch to Tom Holland. He's so energetic and fun, and he's got this spark. Why not?
I mean, if he wants to pass the role to him, who's to say he's wrong? I'm not sure if I would really necessarily want that, just because Tom Holland was recently in the Uncharted series movies, and that wasn't really that good. And that's a pretty big video game, and they spent some money. So I just don't know if that'd be a good move for him.
I feel like Zorro, and I could be wrong, I feel like it needs to be a bit of an older actor. Not like crazy old, but like a little bit older than Tom Holland.
Older actor, and I just feel like it would be
more grizzled.
I also feel like it has to be an actor who is or looks Hispanic. And I mean, just
Agreed.
when I picture Zorro, I picture Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna. No offense against Tom, I'm not gonna picture "Oi, bruv." Like I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Like,
here's our 2023 Star Wars slate, Dylan.
oh man.
We've got January 4th, 2023, The Bad Batch Season 2.
Okay.
Then after that, February 2023 is The Mandalorian Season 3. Spring 2023, we've got Volume 2 of Star Wars Visions. 2023, we also are getting the Ahsoka series and Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew intrigues me.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm excited for pretty much all of those. Very good slate for 2023 for Star Wars. Here's a movie that Dylan and I will 1000% be talking about when it comes out and is available.
Me? Yeah.
Cocaine Bear. The film follows a black bear ingesting a ton of cocaine and then going on a drug-fueled rampage. Sign me up, brother.
Count me in.
This has got to happen in Florida, right? It's got to be based in Florida.
Florida, and he migrates to Texas. And he goes to Ohio. That's his,
man.
That's Trinity. All the meme states.
I feel like we said this before we started recording. We're probably going to end up doing a double feature of Cocaine Bear and Velocipaster when they come out. Color me intrigued about Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, what's not to like? Cocaine Bear.
Oh my goodness, cocaine. When I saw that, I was like, oh, Dylan and I have to watch this. And then we were talking pre-show, and I was like, there's a movie we're going to talk about in news and notes. And you're like, is it Cocaine Bear? And our minds being on that same level is just incredible.
It's incredible for all the right and wrong reasons.
We sent this in our group chat earlier today too. Legendary Entertainment launches worldwide film distribution partnership with Sony Pictures after cutting ties with Warner Brothers. Follow up here: the MonsterVerse and Dune franchises will remain at Warner Brothers.
Okay, interesting.
Don't know how I feel because how we feel with Sony and like all the hoops you have to jump through with everything. So we'll see how that works out. We got the new trailer for the Super Mario movie. They're going full blown. Like, they are just proving my theory correct. Like, the Super Smash Brothers universe is happening. They're doing Mario Kart in this movie. I don't know if you saw that. Color me intrigued. I'm gonna see this movie.
I'm gonna see it too. I think whether it's good or bad, there's gonna be a lot of content that's just crazy to see, like, in a movie, and then I have to be there. I just want to see it.
Yes.
I'm just intrigued, dude. The whole moment I heard Chris Pratt say, "It's a me, Mario," I was like, yes.
Sign me up.
I think I need to watch.
Here's another show that I feel like you and I might be tuning into. I know I will be. Streaming January 19th on Netflix. We got our first trailer for that 90s show.
I'll give it a try. I'm always skeptical about that, but at least it's kind of a continuation of the story, not like a sequel or prequel.
And at least we've got Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp.
Yeah, I read that every character in the old show, besides He Who Shall Not Be Named,
yes,
is making either a cameo or will be on the show as a recurring character. So that's cool.
So that's going to be fun. January 19th is when that starts streaming on Netflix. It does give me like Fuller House vibes, but probably a little more edgy because Red and Kitty are back.
Dude, Red is the man. That's one of the best
I'm gonna
characters.
shove my foot up your ass.
It's one of the best characters in like TV sitcom history.
Yes. This one hits home for me. One of my favorite actors of all time. I know he's one of Dylan's favorites as well. Gotta wish a happy 46th birthday. What would have been for Chadwick Boseman today. Just an unbelievable human. Go see Wakanda Forever. And go watch all of Chadwick's movies because he's easily in my top 3 actors of all time, from Black Panther to 42 to the countless number of movies Chadwick was in while battling cancer is just unbelievable, and just so sad that we lost him far too soon. But happy 46th to Chadwick Boseman. Dylan, returning to theaters from December 2nd until December 15th, Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, dude. That movie made some serious bucks.
Yes, it did.
And they're going to make some more because I feel like people will probably go see it again. People enjoyed it. I'm not sure how much it will do, but it'll probably do a couple more million.
Oh, yeah. And it hit the billion mark this year. That and Jurassic World, which I don't know how.
I heard that movie was like literal dog shit.
Yeah. Still crossed a billy. According to Empire Magazine, director Peyton Reed says Kang the Conqueror is trapped in the quantum realm in Ant-Man 3.
Interesting. I don't dislike that.
We're going to feel old again because as we record this on Tuesday, released 5 years ago today, Dylan, the official trailer for Avengers Infinity War.
You gotta stop doing this feeling the old shit. Because I am. I really am.
It does make me laugh.
Yeah, it makes me cry off camera.
When I tell you the project and then how many years ago it was, you're like, what the fuck?
Camera. I'm like,
last thing I want to wrap up with here, because obviously, now that Andor has come to a close.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts because there are 2 shows that have been thrown my way by the algorithm and by people just talking about it. One is on Netflix and one is on Disney Plus starting tomorrow and today as you guys are listening and watching this. So Lucasfilm's Project Willow starts streaming on Disney Plus, which I think is the next week-by-week show, which is not Star Wars, but it looks very interesting. And then the buzz around the Wednesday Addams show on Netflix is true to roof. And I've had multiple people ask me, are you guys going to be talking about this on your podcast? Jenna Ortega is the star. She's playing Wednesday Addams. And I saw somebody say they need Jenna Ortega and Aubrey Plaza to play in a movie as sisters one day because they do look eerily similar.
They do look a lot alike.
The buzz around that show is crazy. And it has me excited because I wanted to watch that show just for my own pure entertainment because it looked very good. Do we tackle one of those shows starting next week?
I think we can tackle them. I mean, I can even try both of them and then maybe
Let's
say
see.
whatever one I like more. Like if we collectively like one more off camera, we can discuss and then go forward and do that.
And Wednesday is on Netflix, so I'm assuming all of the episodes are out. Which it is a... How many episodes? That's what I want to look up here. Wednesday is 8 episodes.
Okay.
So I think that's tackleable. And it looks like it's going to be a multi-season thing, potentially. I guess if it does well, which it looks like it's doing well. And then Willow, I'm sure is going to be a week-by-week thing because it's Disney Plus. And it is a sequel series to the 80s movie starring Warwick Davis, who was in Harry Potter. And Aaron Kellerman is in this as well, who was the lead flag smasher in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Ah, yes, the irrelevant villain group.
I'm trying to see. Willow TV series. Here we go. Willow is going to be... And Willow is 6 episodes. Week by week. That's not bad.
No, it's not terrible.
So yeah, you'll find out on the socials which one we tackle here first. And it looks like... Directing-wise... Oh, executive producer, Ron Howard.
For Willow?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's exciting. And then... Originally, John Chu was going to be directing the pilot episode, which would have been really cool. Big fan of John Chu. He did, like, In the Heights, and he's going to be doing the Wicked movies. And he did Crazy Rich Asians.
The thing that has me concerned about Willow is that there isn't too many like big name actors in it. It's a lot of like smaller to medium fish. And I'm not. That's just always a little concerning because if they don't do their job, or not even that, if it's just not well written enough,
right?
An experienced actor may not be able to carry a lackluster.
Oh, and then also in this cast is Anthony Revolori, who is Flash Thompson from the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy.
Yeah, I was just actually looking at that. That's interesting. I mean, they all have experience, but you get what I'm saying.
There's like 3 well-known to our eyes, and then Eleanor Elizabeth Ellie Bomber, who she was in The Lady from the Sea, which was a play. She has also been in... this is interesting. She was in that Serpent show in 2021. Okay. She was also in Les Mis in 2018.
Les Miserables.
And... she won an Orlando Film Festival Best Actress for High Resolution in 2018. She's like big like stage performer type, which is very interesting for a George Lucas project. She also dated Richard Madden from 2017 to 2019. Shout out Icarus. Shout out Game of Thrones.
I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by both of these, so we'll let you guys know if we're doing one or both because we're done with Andor now. And then we've got the movies on the list, which I'm going to pull up our list, Dylan, of everything we have to watch next. Once my phone decides to load it. Funny guy. But we definitely have the Enola Holmes movies on our list, which I'm very excited about. We've done Don't Worry Darling, The Card Counter. We got to find a way to watch Knives Out because it's not on a streaming platform. The first one for everybody at home. We have both Pinocchio movies on our list as well.
I forgot about that.
And we'll be adding Christmas movies across the board. Maybe we'll do some Christmas movies that aren't necessarily viewed as Christmas movies, but we'll probably be adding Wednesday Addams and Willow to the docket for the foreseeable future, just to see how they all go. And Willow starts tomorrow, so maybe Dylan and I just record our Willow reaction to episode 1 like we normally do. You'll get an episode maybe this weekend, but that's why you got to follow us on the socials at StreamerSZN, Twitter, Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. And Dylan, what should they do in those Apple Podcast reviews, my friend?
What we've been talking about. They should be obviously saying nice things, but they should be letting us
call
know.
Dylan cute.
Yeah, compliment me. No.
Compliment him like one of your French girls.
Say my head looks shiny. No.
My shiny head and me.
They should be letting Kyle and I know. You should be letting Kyle and I know, rather, on what projects we are to watch next. We just talked about this. We just literally spitballed 2 shows on the fly. Kyle brought it up last second, and that could be you next week. That could be you if you leave a bomb review / recommendation. Kyle and I could read it. We could say user, whatever. Or if we know you personally, we can say blank suggested this, and then boom, we talk about it.
And you can do that in the YouTube comment section as well. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. You get full video episodes of every single podcast on our network. And you don't want to miss out on anything. So smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, ring the bell icon, comment down below your thoughts on everything from the docket tonight, and any shows or movies you guys have been watching, your favorite Christmas movies, your favorite holiday movies. And big thank you to the homies who sponsor this show, which I forgot to run the ticker when we restarted, but there it is for everybody at home. Shout out to Pick Up Kenwood Beer and our merch partners, PHI Apparel Company, phiapparel.co. Use code Underground for 10% off your order of any merch, including first edition Streamer Season merch at phiapparel.co. But this has been another episode for the Cowabunga Boys, episode 103 of Streamer Season, part of the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network and the official streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the network. For Dylan, I'm KB. Till next time, we're going to go to a galaxy far, far away one more time, go count some cards, and maybe go jam out to the 97s on Nowhere. But until then, we're getting the heck out of here. See ya!